Good morning. I'm Sarah Gray, religious educator here at First Unitarian Church of Orlando. So today we're going to do something a little bit different than what we normally do in our story during the worship service. Today I wanted to share with you all a story from Spirit Play. So here's a little bit more about Spirit Play directly from the program's website. Spirit Play is a Unitarian Universalist program of religious education that evolved from a long line of Montessori-based religious education programming. Spirit Play seeks to engage children in the existential questions about life within the context of the Unitarian Universalist faith. Stories are presented dealing with these questions, accessing our broad base of sources. They are presented using an active storytelling method followed by a wondering time that opens up the child's response to the story, and then the child is free to work directly with the story or another or respond to the story and their feelings about the story with various art materials and other manipulatives. So the RE program here has been really excited about the idea of introducing Spirit Play for quite some time now. Obviously, our plans got put on hold with last year, but now we are optimistic that when we are able to return in person, we'll be ready to launch this new exciting way of doing RE, or new and exciting to us. It's been around for a little bit of time, but we're excited about bringing it to our congregation. So today I wanted to give you all a preview of what these Spirit Play stories, what these programs actually look like. We'll stop short of the work portion in which the participant is invited to use or respond to the story using provided hands-on materials. But I can do the other parts. I can deliver the story in the active storytelling method and follow up with a wondering time for you all in your homes. So today's story is all about the first Unitarians in America, and I picked this one to serve as an introduction and give some context to the ideas that we'll be exploring later in our service today. We'll repeat this next week. I'll do another Spirit Play story with a similar story about the first Universalists in America. So thank you for joining me on this new journey of storytelling today. The First Unitarians in America by Connie Dunn. Today's story is about the roots of our Unitarian faith and how they stretch back to the Puritans. When the Puritans first came to America, they built towns in New England, which is in the northeast of the United States. At the center of each town, helping control how the people lived and worked, was a church. All the people in the town would go to that church, and they would pay money to support the church. It was part of the Puritan faith that churches should be simple and that each church should decide important things for itself. Things like who would be the preacher and what the people would do in worship. Here are the preachers. They want to roll away. Over time, the Puritan churches came to be called congregational churches. Each congregation could make their own decisions, but they still thought of themselves as being like all the other churches that had been Puritan. The ministers and preachers would even trade places so that different congregations could hear different sermons and ministers. But then some of the preachers started to preach that instead of a Trinity, God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, that there was just one God and Jesus was a man. These people were called Unitarians. Their ideas upset the other churches and preachers, and soon they were arguing and refusing to trade with each other anymore. Then one minister named William Ellery Channing gave a big sermon that a lot of people saw. His sermon talked about the ideas of the Unitarians and how they were different from the other churches. After his sermon, many churches voted and became Unitarian, while most of the other churches eventually became the United Church of Christ. Each church got to choose for themselves which they wanted to be. I wonder if you've ever seen any of this before. I wonder which part of the story was the most important. I wonder which part you like best. I wonder where you might be in this story. I wonder if there is a part of the story that we could just leave out and still have a story. I wonder which part of the story you liked. I wonder how it feels when you argue. I wonder if you've ever had an argument. I wonder how Channing felt to talk in front of all of those people. I wonder if our church could ever change to a different kind of church. I wonder if this lesson reminds you of any of our Unitarian Universalist promises. I wonder where the spirit of love and mystery is in this story.